Hey everybody, I'm your host Elad, and today I'm reporting to you from New Hampshire at this Trump rally. But right now we're at the anti-Trump sign, and to get in the rally, we need to walk through all of these anti-Trump protesters. Very interesting protesters. Let's go talk to some of them, see what's going on. Adjacent to us, there's a Trump rally. He's going to be talking in a few hours. Then behind us, there's the anti-Trump rally. You have the sign. It says, "Send him back." Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here, what it means for you to be out here?
Because he's as deplorable a person as we could have, somehow occupying the presidency of the United States, which is disgrace and a terrible thing for Americans and people around the world. I think he's in there by accident, but unfortunately, he's there, and we have to do everything we can to derail his agenda, his presidency, and make him a one-term president.
Yeah. I know in a couple of rallies back, he did have some people in the crowd, or some people in the crowd did end up chanting, "Send her back," in regard to some of the progressive socialists that we have nowadays.
Right.
Do you think that was wrong for them to cheer that?
Well, of course. My God, they're citizens. They're members of Congress. It's not just wrong. It's stupid. He's stupid.
Yeah. Isn't it a little bit ironic to have this sign then, or is this not meant to be taken like literally?
Well, it's not meant to be taken literally, but he should go back to New York and his gilded apartment and leave the country alone.
I'm making a video on the rally. Is there any chance I could ask you some questions? I love that Trump's on your shoulders.
Sure.
So it seems that you are like quite literally putting Trump on your back.
What I'm saying is this dummy's been on my back for 3 years, and the rest of us too.
Yeah, so it says, "Twinkie, Twinkie, little czar, Putin made you what you are." And then I believe Trump with the arm out, it's like the Hail Hitler sign.
Oh, I couldn't get the arm to bend properly. Yeah.
Could you tell me a little bit more about why you're holding this, what it means for you to be out here? We're obviously outside of where Trump's holding his rally later tonight.
Yeah, well, the Russian thing, this thing is filled with air. That's why I can carry it. It's light. It's just filled with air, and he's filled with air too. But it's the air that's been given to us by the Russians. He's been created by them, by Putin. So he's an empty shell. He's really nothing himself.
Are you hoping more is going to come out of the Mueller report? It feels like progressive Democrats are ready to try to impeach, but the more centrist Democrats aren't. What's your take on that and what's going on with the Mueller report? Some people are saying no collusion. Some people think obstruction occurred. What's going on?
Yeah, a lot more is going to come out with time. I'm absolutely convinced of that. All the money laundering that's been going on, for example, and nothing has really come up about his finances. That's going to come up at some point.
Not to mention, what do you think about his stuff going on? We don't talk about Stormy Daniels anymore.
No.
What do you think about his Stormy Daniels? Oh, or do you not even want to talk about that?
That was such a little fluff thing. It doesn't surprise anyone about Trump.
Yeah.
That was a small thing.
Yeah.
The other stuff is much bigger.
Yeah. So at this point, are we seeking impeachment, or are we seeking to get him voted out in 2020?
I would love impeachment, but I don't think it's going to work unless we're prepared to vote him out.
Yeah.
I think we have to do the work on voting him out.
Is there any impeachable offense that you think is good to the book that could really get him removed from office, that nobody could really argue about him being a crook or a criminal about?
Between you and me, if they could find those Russian Moscow tapes with the prostitute, that would probably do it. Yeah.
I'm glad somebody finally mentioned it. But is there anything else that's more concrete than like what we have going on now? Because it needs to be a legitimate reason to try to impeach the president, right?
Yeah, I think put all together, collusion was exactly what was happening there. Whether they were able to kind of fill the definition of conspiracy, I don't know. But collusion was clearly happening.
So Hitler was obviously a very bad guy. The Nazis were horrible people. I think we're the initiators in World War II, killed millions of people, genocide. Is comparing Trump to Hitler or the Nazis, you think, a good, valid comparison?
I couldn't get the arm to bend. I wanted to have a nice wave, but this is just the way it worked out.
Sure. But to follow up there, people are calling detention centers like concentration camps. Like, do you think those things and the imagery between how we're comparing Trump to Hitler, don't you think we might be overblowing it, or do you think these are all complete valid comparisons?
Well, it's the danger we're talking about. Unless we stay alert, things like that could clearly happen.
And just in conclusion, was there anything else you want to mention?
Well, that's it. Thank you
so much for your time. I'd shake your hand, but I don't want you to drop Trump. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Everything was kind of doing okay until this racist dictator got into office. And again, he didn't win the election.
You don't think how did he not win the election?
He didn't win the election. Russia helped him with hacking all those states, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Pennsylvania. Putin helped him get elected. Okay.
So we had Robert Mueller's report come out. Were you satisfied with what we found in the report?
Nah.
So do you think people are covering for him? How should we proceed?
See, Mueller should have stood up, became an American hero, and said he did crimes.
And why do you think Mueller didn't?
He was probably, the memo. Following.
You know the history of Robert Mueller, right? He's a very respected prosecutor, not particularly a Trump fan.
And not only that, but he's a Republican.
Okay.
And most of those people, FBI, CIA, most of your law enforcement, they're all Republicans. Come on, and then, they got one guy, Strzok, who said a couple of things to his girlfriend. People have been saying, crap all through their lives, and...
Could it be that Robert Mueller didn't say Trump committed crimes because, potentially he didn't? Or is that not even, a fathomable idea? Are you guys just set on impeaching Trump that you guys are just no?
I'm not calling for impeachment.
Oh, okay.
I just want to vote him out.
Okay. Who do you want to see beat him in 2020?
Uncle Joe.
Uncle Joe?
Why
Uncle Joe?
Because America needs an uncle.
It's just interesting to note because I think he was the most moderate of all the Democrats.
This country is going to have a healing, and I think Joe's probably the only one that could probably give us that healing. That uncle that you go to and say, Unc, give me $5, to go, get some ice cream or something. America's going to need that.
So you're wearing a Planned Parenthood shirt. We're out here in New Hampshire. We have the Trump rally happening beside us, and now we're at the anti-Trump protest portion. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here, what it means for you to be out here?
Yeah, so my name is Derek Edry. I'm the communications manager for Planned Parenthood and Planned Parenthood New Hampshire Action Fund. And Planned Parenthood New Hampshire Action Fund supporters are here today to make clear that we're not going to stand for President Trump and the Trump administration's attacks on reproductive health care. His Title X gag rule, which is in effect right now, is about to strip away Title X care from more than 16,000 patients in New Hampshire. That care provides birth control, STD testing and treatment, and cancer screenings for low income and uninsured people in New Hampshire.
I wanted to ask, do you guys have a Democratic candidate who you guys are backing right now?
No. We are.
Is there any hierarchy of who's higher to the top, or?
No, we're not going to be endorsing, and any endorsements would come from Planned Parenthood Action Fund, the national organization. Anyway, yeah. I'm glad to talk about the Trump administration as a whole.
Because I wanted to get your stance on now, because Planned Parenthood, obviously, we're getting into the abortion issue. A lot of conservatives talk about late-term abortion and constantly.
Yeah, so I'll
pounce on that.
That's abortion later in pregnancy. Late-term abortion is a false term.
So the question would be, do you think there's any point in a pregnancy where you don't think it's okay to terminate the pregnancy?
Medical decisions should be left between a woman or a person and their doctor. The government should not be interfering on those decisions, and these decisions are incredibly complex and should be left between a woman and her doctor.
So a fetus is viable after 25 weeks. It's viable outside of the womb. Do you think it's still appropriate to abort or terminate a pregnancy at 25 weeks or any time past that, even though the fetus is viable outside of the womb?
I feel like I just answered your question. Oftentimes, when a individual does have to get abortion care later in pregnancy, it's due to the fact that there are complex circumstances, like that the fetal abnormalities or that the woman's life is in danger. Again,
I know that only 3% of the cases do happen, in that second or third trimester. So just trying to be nuanced about those points there. Trump doesn't feel like a very
Actually, 99% of abortions are in the first trimester. Yeah.
Okay, within 12 weeks? I'll double check that. I thought it was 97 was only the first, but I could double check that. Trump doesn't seem like a pro-life president. I talked to conservatives who complain about him not being very pro-life. What direct attacks do you think he's made, on Planned Parenthood, defunding it on the federal level, so on?
every day. Like he's gone into his rallies and said literally lied about abortion care later in pregnancy, lied about abortion. He's trying to dismantle the Title X program, which provides access to low income and uninsured people for essential reproductive health care for really no good reason. He's trying to dismantle the Affordable Care Act. So, I mean, I could go on and on.
I want to follow up there, though. Trump appointed 2 conservative judges, Neil Gorsuch and it was Brett Kavanaugh. Now the Supreme Court is supposedly having a conservative edge. Are you guys fearful of Roe v. Wade being overturned with the current court, how it is?
Yeah, I think the threat to Roe is real, and we're concerned about Kavanaugh. We're concerned about the fact that the president continues to force through, the Trump administration continues to force through judges into the federal courts who have animosity toward abortion rights and Roe v. Wade. And we are pretty confident that his goal is to push one of those cases up to the Supreme Court with the final goal of overturning Roe v. Wade. And the threat is real, and we're not hiding that.
Yeah. Just to finish up, in conclusion, was there anything else you wanted to mention?
No, I think that's good.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. I really appreciate it. Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the video, but if you're really enjoying the video, like, share, subscribe, hit me up on my Patreon, my PayPal, support independent media, independent journalism, and enjoy the rest of the show. No, he lost New Hampshire by half a percentage point in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. I'm not sure if you're a native New Hampshire, but what are we going to do, or what are the Democrats going to do to beat him in 2020 and still cover him by that half percentage point?
Well, a lot more of this. We got to get out and vote. People need to be energized, and we have to expand the base and get people out to vote who don't tend to vote. They have to understand that it directly affects their lives, and you just can't sit by the sidelines.
Yeah. I feel like one thing that Democrats and Republicans could agree on is that there is a humanitarian crisis at the border. I think the numbers are something like between 60 and 80% of the women who cross end up getting sexually assaulted or something like that. What do you think the solution is to the border? Some progressives don't want to fund it at all. Some people want to increase border security. Some people want to increase the speed in which we process people. Is there a solution here? Is there a good solution?
Well, obviously, resources is part of it. You know, the judges of the amnesty judges are so overwhelmed that there's this long backlog, and just to be putting people in chain link fenced areas with inadequate basics of survival is unimaginable. In the wealthiest country on earth, it's a disgrace.
Is there a solution? Just process more, offer more resources, maybe help process people quicker?
Well,
because some people are floating the idea of open borders, and then people on the other side are saying build a wall. Is there any intermediary here?
Well, sure there is, and I don't see many progressives really talking about open borders. That's what the Trumpites accuse us of.
So you guys aren't for open borders?
I haven't gone that far in my thinking, to be honest with you. Yeah, my sister has something to say about that.
That before the Trump people turn this into a crisis, over 90% of asylum seekers who were given parole and allowed to come back for a hearing came back for their hearing. Now he calls them stupid, and I called them doing what they need to do to come into America. And he's penalizing those people. Yeah. It infuriates me.
And I want to ask you one last question in conclusion. Who do you want to see beat Trump in 2020, assuming you don't want to vote for Trump?
Anybody but Trump. I mean, I will vote for any Democrat.
Any Democrat, even a Joe Biden, the more moderate kind of Democrat.
You know,
if it came to that, you'd vote for him too.
It's a binary choice, right? Democrat or Republican. You may not love your Democrat, but by God, he's better than any Republican, including not just this guy.
Absolutely.
Just policies that affect our everyday lives, and everything. What he says is disgraceful enough, but let's not forget the people that he's put as the department heads, as the cabinet, are undermining everything every department of the government is supposed to be doing. Protecting the environment, protecting people, protecting workers, etc. It's all the opposite. So
Pro-Trumpers say the economy's booming, historically low Black and Hispanic unemployment, crime reform. Do you give any of that any credit to him, or do you think that's all just a bunch of noise?
It's mostly noise. The economy's going well on the macro scale, yeah.
More jobs are being added to the economy, though, giving people more opportunities. Unemployment is going down.
More crappy jobs.
You think it's not more good? Why do you think they're crappy jobs?
They're mostly service sector jobs with no benefits, no security, no nothing.
I would complain about the tariffs because I think tariffs are only ending up being extra taxes on the American people. I'm no fan of taxes, so that's a fair critique on my side. But just in conclusion, was there anything else you wanted to mention?
Just that we're having a great time here, and just so happy that there's this great gathering of people who want to do the right thing and want the country to do the right thing.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for your time, too. Woo. You have a sign over here. It says, hate has no place here, dump Trump. I don't know if the other side says something.
No, it's reproductive rights.
About reproductive rights. This side says hashtag repro rights are human rights. Can you tell me a little bit more about why you're out here? There's a Trump rally to our left. What's going on?
Well, I think it's important to show, I'm from New Hampshire, I think it's important to show people that a lot of us don't agree with his agenda of hate, bigotry, his assault on the environment, how he's cozied up to Vladimir Putin. He's trampled on human rights throughout the world. I could just go on and on and on.
It's interesting how you mentioned that you're from New Hampshire. Of course, this is the state where the rally's happening in. Recently, he said Baltimore was rat-infested, and I don't know if you heard what he said about New Hampshire. He said it was drug-infested, a drug-infested den here. Is New Hampshire a drug-infested den, and what do you think about the president using language to describe this state?
No. Once again, he's throwing out blanket adjectives about something that he knows nothing about, and even if he knew anything about it, he would lie about it.
Yeah. Like there's a drug problem here, but you don't think that language is helping?
Drug problem, and he needs to start funding stuff instead of accusing people of living in a drug. Come on and help people out. That's what he needs to do.
He lost New Hampshire by like 0.5% of a point.
He'll lose by more.
So how are you guys going to make sure that he loses in 2020? And who do you want to see beat him?
I'm gonna support whoever I think can beat him nationwide.
Any Democrat?
Look, I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter. I think Bernie can beat him. But if it's not Bernie, I'm going to go for whoever. We need to get Trump out.
It felt like Bernie got screwed in 2016. Did you end up voting for Hillary after Bernie seemingly got screwed?
Of course, I would never vote for Donald Trump.
So do you think a lot of progressive Democrats are saying that we should try to impeach him? Do you think we should still try to impeach him or just vote him out in 2020?
I think impeachment is Congress's duty when there's evidence. And I think there's plenty of evidence. It isn't going to make it through the Senate, but they need to do it.
What's one specific impeachable offense that you think Trump committed?
Well, I think we don't know because we haven't seen the Mueller report. Mueller all but indicted him, and I think there's plenty of stuff there once we see the full report.
Do you think you're still holding your hat on hopefully the Mueller report coming up with some Russian collusion, or?
I think there's all kinds of stuff, and you start the impeachment process to find that out.
Absolutely. Just in conclusion, was there anything else you wanted to mention?
We've got to end this hate. We've got to end this hate. Come together as Americans.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Hey everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode. I wanted to pose the question back to you. What did you think about the questions I was able to ask? Let me know down in the comments. If you guys really like the show, like, subscribe. If you guys are able to, hit up my PayPal, hit up my Patreon, support independent media, independent journalism. Until next time, stay barely informed.